What's up YouTube? Welcome to today's video. My name is Drucifer and we have something super exciting to talk about today. Now I know I'm a few hours late behind everybody else, but as soon as I had the ability to make this video, I wanted to get on here and I wanted to throw my thoughts and my reaction to this update. Now I've seen a few of the press releases, but I have yet to see the teaser for the video, so we're going to watch it together and I'm going to give you guys a filmmaker or cinematographer's reaction to this new iPhone 13. So here we go. Let's watch it together and let's talk about it, and let's talk about how this is going to benefit or not benefit filmmakers. So let's see what we've got here.
A high-performance display.
So I can already tell this is going to be sick.
And the biggest upgrade ever to the camera. Introducing iPhone 13 Pro. It's ready for...
So stopping right there, it looks like it has the same 3-lens setup that the iPhone 12 has. And I'm loving this ad so far. I'm a sucker for sci-fi, horror,
let you capture incredible scenes in even lower light.
and anything to do with space.
The new telephoto camera has 3 times optical zoom.
Okay, right there. So one of the big things that I see already is 3 times optical zoom versus the 2.5x optical zoom that's on the iPhone 12.
For even closer close-ups.
Which is helpful.
Discover a new world in macro with the ultra-wide camera.
All right, guys, so right here, this is something that I'm super excited about, the ultra-wide macro lens, because for some odd reason here lately in my photography life, I am obsessed with taking pictures of plants. And the closer you get to a plant for a photo, the better. So being able to do that with the ultra-wide lens on the iPhone is a huge game changer. So I'm super stoked on that.
And upload and download faster on the go with 5G.
How sick is this ad?
The superior durability of ceramic shield means iPhone 13 Pro is ready for any shoot. Almost any.
Dude just got blasted in the face with smoke.
iPhone 13 Pro offers filmmaking capabilities not possible in even the most expensive movie cameras.
It's a brash claim.
Now you can capture, edit, and deliver in ProRes.
Okay, so there it is. So that's the big one. That's the big one for filmmakers right there, guys. That they're bringing ProRes to the iPhone 13. So that is huge. So that is turning this into maybe a simple upgrade to a must-buy. So if you guys don't know, ProRes is a very, very lossless but easy to work with codec. Because if you try to put your iPhone 12 Pro Max footage in like Premiere or even in DaVinci, it wants to stutter a lot. But something like ProRes, you'll be able to scrub through buttery smooth. So it makes editing with your phone footage a whole lot less of a headache and a whole lot better. So ProRes on a phone, it's freaking amazing.
The same format used in the movie industry. And introducing
Cinematic mode. So this is something that is geared exactly for filmmakers, guys. So this is what we have been wanting in smartphone camera technology, is for them to actually start taking filmmakers seriously and video creators seriously for phones. And huge
automatically while you shoot or even out.
What? Okay, so computational photography, that is more or less being able to the camera to be able to do certain functions in the software. So right here, what you're looking at is not only are you able to rack focus back and forth while recording on this iPhone 13, but even after the fact. So in previous phone models, you've been able to adjust like the background blur and the shallow depth of field and the bokeh, right, in a photo after you've taken it with like, I can't remember, live focus or something like that in Samsung. But now you can do it in video, in ProRes, not just during shooting the video, but after the fact. That is huge. So that is like a cheat sheet. That is like if you decide to change the look of an entire scene after you shoot it, when you're editing, you're like, you know what? Maybe I didn't want to focus there. Maybe I wanted to rack focus to this person's reaction to the person that's in the foreground or vice versa. You can change that, and that will totally change not just the story, but it'll change the look of the scene when you do that. This is freaking phenomenal, and it's insane.
And all in Dolby Vision.
Dolby Vision. This is such a rad ad because it actually shows like some behind the scenes looking like filmmaking stuff. Okay, 120 hertz adaptive refresh rate on the screen, which is a major update. This is going to mean that that screen is that display is super snappy. Faster CPU, 5-core GPU, battery life. Of course, if you're going to be shooting ProRes and cinematic mode and all that, you're going to need more battery life, so it's cool that they decided to include that. But other than that, like, the phone looks like it might be a little bit thicker, but other than that, you know, it looks like the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So let's go over to their website. I have it up here. This is originally what I looked at, so we're going to compare the two real quick. So you have your 13 Pro Max there, your iPhone 12 Pro Max in the middle. I just want to gloss over this real quick. Okay, so the 13 Pro Max has optical zoom of 6 times, where the iPhone 12 Pro Max only has 5 times. They both have LiDAR. 13 has cinematic mode in 1080 at 30 frames per second, to where the iPhone 12 doesn't have it at all. Let's scroll down. A15 Bionic chip, which is a faster chip processor in the 13 versus what the 12 has. And the 12 is freaking phenomenal. Like, it's quick. New 6-core CPU. Let me see. 5-core GPU in the 13 versus the 4-core GPU in the 12. They tout it's the fastest chip ever in a smartphone. Up to 28 hours of video playback versus 20 hours of video playback in the 12. Let me see, going down real quick. So the 13, capacity-wise for the memory, goes all up to 1 terabyte, which is freaking amazing. 128, 256, 512, and 1 terabyte. So 1 terabyte is clutch for having that ProRes, because those file sizes are going to be a little bit larger. The display, of course, has the 120 hertz refresh rate, which the 12 Pro doesn't have. Other than that, it looks like everything is basically the same except for the brightness. 1000 nits max brightness versus 800 nits max brightness on the 12. And then HDR brightness is the same. Let me see. It is 7.65 millimeters deep versus the 12, which is 7.4 millimeters. You're not going to notice the difference. It's 240 grams versus 228 grams on the 12. So, guys, I think really looking at this, your camera and your display are the two biggest things. So, again, I think they're really gearing this towards filmmakers and content creators, especially those that like to create with their phone. Charles Stone, I'm looking at you. You better pick up the iPhone 13. So, let's take a look real quick at the camera. So, everything looks the same, except for the telephoto lens actually steps down to a 2.8 in the 13, to where in the 12 it's a 2.2, except for the wide steps up to a 1.5 aperture. The 12, it's a 1.6. The ultra wide is a 1.8, which is huge, and the ultra wide in the 12 is a 2.4. So the reason for that, guys, if you have an iPhone and you try to shoot an ultra wide photo mode, which is the mode that everybody loves to shoot with, it's super gnarly. It gets a little muddy when it starts getting in low light, and that's a problem with it. So if you can reduce your f-stop 1.8 versus 2.4, you're going to have a little bit cleaner of an image. So big fan of that. Let's go down 3 times optical zoom like we talked about versus 2.5 in the 12. Digital zoom up to 15 times versus it only having 12 times in the 12. Portrait lighting with 6 effects. Both have that. And then they have photographic styles in the 13, which they don't have in the 12. I have no idea what that is. And of course, in video, they have cinematic mode, ProRes 4K at 30 for 1080 at 30 FPS, and that goes only for the 128 gig storage or better, I think. Let me see. Other than that, I think all the video recording is exactly the same. minus the ProRes. Slow mo's the same, night mode's the same, stereo recording, the 12 megapixel camera's the same. Yeah. So let's talk about this. So what are my thoughts? Would I buy one of these? Abso-freaking-lutely, because I love the cinematic mode. I love being able to shift my shallow depth of focus, especially while recording, and even more after the fact. Like I said, if I want to edit and I want to change the look of a scene after I've seen what I've recorded and I thought maybe I need to change the look of it or I need to rack focus to something different, that is major. In addition to having the 120 hertz refresh rate and the ProRes, those are the big things, guys. So I would say if you have the 12 and you're not a filmmaker and you don't plan on doing more in-depth cinema-like things with your iPhone, I wouldn't worry too much about getting the 13. But if you're somebody that wants to shoot short films or shoot films or whatever, or you want cinema-like quality with your phone, I don't think you can do any better than the iPhone 13. Now, if you have an older iPhone, like a 10, 11, or if you're trying to go from Android to iPhone, definitely pick up the 13 because I think it's going to be a game changer. Now, am I going to run out and get the 13 tomorrow? Probably not. I will upgrade to it eventually. I'm not going to do that 917 upgrade like everybody else is doing and putting in the pre-order for it, especially because I know I'll probably be far down on the list. I won't get mine for after a while. So I'm just going to wait on it because my next Apple purchase or my next technological purchase right now, I think I'm going to get the new iPad with the M1 chip. So that'll probably come first before the iPhone 13 does. But the iPhone 13 Pro Max is definitely something I'm going to be picking up in the near future. Guys, I think it is crazy. It is absolutely crazy what we're doing with camera technology. And it almost hurts your brain to think about why brands like Canon and Sony and even Blackmagic aren't incorporating some of this technology that these phone companies are putting in these small sensors, in these little tiny devices here. You know, like I know there's a difference between what you want to do on a phone with a camera versus what you want to do with a camera and a traditional camera. But still, the analogy that I'm going to use, guys, is everybody says equipment doesn't matter. That is only true to a certain extent. If you're in a nail driving competition, do you want to be using a hammer or do you want to be using a nail gun, right? You're going to use what's going to make you more proficient, what's going to make it more efficient to do your job. And all of these little shortcuts that they're including in these guys here, they need to start including in cameras as well to make it our jobs easier, to make us more efficient, to make us more proficient on set or while we're out shooting photos. So Sony, Canon, I doubt you guys are, but if you're listening, Blackmagic, start taking notes from Apple, start taking notes from Samsung, and start looking at some of these things you could include in your cameras. But beyond that, guys, it's absolutely insane what they're doing in these phones. And iPhone 13 Pro Max, I think it's a must-buy, especially if you're stepping up from an older phone model. And if you want to do any sort of cinematic stuff with your phone, go pick one up immediately. Like I said, it'll probably be 3, 4, maybe 6 months before I pick one up. But definitely, I'm definitely stepping into that ring when it comes. So, guys, my name is Drew Safer. If you've made it this far, hit the bell, hit the subscribe button, and as always, stay rad and just go shoot. I'll catch you on the next one.